Max Irvine enjoys life as a normal 4-year-old boy. But just last year, more than 100 daily epileptic seizures were deteriorating his brain.
Last November, he basically stopped talking, and then he stopped walking, and he just started losing all of his skills.
And there were times where I would pray to God that he could either make him better or take him home, because I just couldn't stand to see him go through what he was going through. And there were many times where I asked God to give it to me.
Max seemed to be in perfect health until his seizures began at age 2. His doctor offered little hope.
He told us that our son would be mentally challenged the rest of his life, and that all we could do was really put him on a bunch of good, strong medicines.
So he was just miserable, and we had a lot of times just prayed, we didn't know what to pray for even some days, and people would ask us, and we would just say, pray for a miracle.
The Irvines brought their son Max here to the world-famous Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, and joined forces with a doctor who specializes in epilepsy in children. What they came up with was a treatment that is unconventional, even within the medical community. Dr. Elaine Worrell kept Max on his medicines, but also put him on a ketogenic diet, which was 80% fat.
We think it probably stabilizes the nerve cells themselves. By using the high fat, it stabilizes the energy level in the brain and helps the seizures. There's also some evidence that certain types of fats, something called polyunsaturated fatty acids, are good for the brain.
The diet plus medicine combo was only slightly better than medicines alone.
I just really knew that God was always there, and I knew that if we listened, he would guide us.
We were kind of noticing patterns in the day when things would be worse for seizures, for his behavior, and it was usually right after taking his medication.
His parents came up with the thought of, well, what if we try him off medication and just let the diet work on its own?
The doctor agreed to the unusual request, and when the pills stopped, so did the seizures.
And he started to talk that night, and I'll never forget it, to hear his little voice again. He just said, "Daddy's at work, Daddy's at work." And he kind of was. He was at a meeting, but he was talking. And I just remember crying, thinking, I heard his voice again, and I never knew if I would hear his voice again.
That was over a year ago, and the diet continues to heal Max's brain. This is a typical breakfast for Max: a lot of butter, bacon, oil, and a small amount of fruit. And although it is food, for Max it's more like medicine and needs to be weighed and administered very carefully. In the body, a ketogenic diet basically mimics starvation and was even the basis for the popular Atkins diet.
In the Bible, in Mark chapter 9, it talks about a father who brought his son to see Jesus because the son was having seizures. And Jesus told him that the only way to heal him is through prayer and fasting. And fasting is actually what the ketogenic diet does to your body. So we truly believe that what Jesus told that man to do for his son is what we have done for our son.
Dr. Worrell believes this diet is the only thing that cures epilepsy, compared to pharmaceuticals that merely treat the symptoms. The ketogenic diet is now being considered as a healing agent for other types of neurological disease, including brain cancer. But it is not recommended for improving the brain functions of healthy people. Christine developed a website and uses it to teach other parents the ins and outs of the ketogenic diet.
There's so many people that we owe so much to that have helped us, and now we're kind of on the other end of it, helping other people.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Max is slowly being weaned off the diet without any side effects.
Max will say that. We will win. He calls it epily. We will win epily, he says. But yeah, that's our goal.
Lori Johnson, CBN News, Rochester, Minnesota.